She was 7 months pregnant when her husband zipped his
Derek,
suitcase
please
and
don't
walked
leave
out the
us.
door. No warning,
What about the
no
baby?
explanation, just 2 words. I'm leaving. He emptied their bank account, left her with $300 and a baby on the way.
Are you
But here's what
serious?
Derek didn't know. 3 weeks later, a phone call
Oh my
would
God, are
change
you
everything.
absolutely
A dying
sure?
billionaire, a secret affair from 33 years ago, and an inheritance worth $11.3 billion. The woman he abandoned at her lowest point
This is
was
over.
about to
I want
become
you
one
out
of
of
the
the
most
company by the
powerful
end of the
women in
day.
America.
Don't make me regret
This
being
is not a
civil.
story about revenge. This is a story about a woman who lost everything and discovered she never needed any of it. Her husband thought he was leaving behind a broken woman. Instead, he created an unstoppable one. What happens when the person who abandoned you realizes they made the biggest mistake of their life? What happens when you find out your entire identity was built on lies, and those lies lead you to your true destiny? Stay until the end, because the moment Vivian faces Derek again will remind you exactly why some people deserve to be left behind. Lesson and value. This story carries a powerful truth. The people who abandon you during your darkest moments do not deserve to witness your brightest days. Vivian's journey teaches us that our lowest point is often the doorway to our greatest transformation. She was not saved by a man. She was not rescued by money. She saved herself by refusing to stay broken. The real inheritance was never the billions. It was discovering her own strength. If you have ever felt abandoned, betrayed, or told you were not enough, this story is for you. It is a reminder that the people who walk away from you are clearing the path for something greater. Your worth is not determined by those who leave. It is revealed by how you rise after they are gone. The suitcase zipper cut through the silence of the bedroom. Vivian stood in the doorway, one hand on her swollen belly, watching her husband of 6 years pack his life into 2 Louis Vuitton bags. Derek? Her voice came out smaller than she intended. What are you doing? He didn't look up. I think you know. She watched his hands move with practiced efficiency, shirts folded into neat squares, ties rolled into spirals. The cufflinks she'd given him for their 5th anniversary tucked into a velvet pouch. I don't understand, she said. I just got home. I was going to tell you something. Whatever it is, it can wait. Derek, please, just stop for a second. Look at me. He paused, his hands stilled on the fabric of his favorite blue dress shirt, the one she'd bought him for his promotion 2 years ago. Finally, he turned, his eyes swept over her, over the 7 months of pregnancy that had swollen her ankles and softened her face, over the exhaustion that had settled into her bones like permanent house guest. I'm leaving, he said. What do you mean, leaving? I mean, I'm leaving. This marriage, this apartment, this life. Vivian gripped the doorframe. The room tilted slightly, and she wondered if this was another bout of the dizziness that had plagued her since the 2nd trimester. You're leaving me, she repeated. Right now, when I'm 7 months pregnant. The timing isn't ideal, I know that. Not ideal. A strange sound escaped her throat, something between a laugh and a sob. Derek, I lost my job today. They laid off my entire department. I came home to tell you, and you're packing bags? His expression flickered. Surprise, maybe, or annoyance. It was hard to tell anymore. I'm sorry about your job, he said. That's unfortunate. Unfortunate. That's what you have to say? What do you want me to say, Vivian? I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time. She pressed her palm flat against her belly. The baby kicked, as if sensing the distress flooding through her mother's bloodstream. Since when? She asked. Since when haven't you been happy? Derek returned to his packing. Does it matter? Yes, it matters to me. A while, okay? It's been a while. The words hung in the air between them, heavy and sharp-edged. Vivian did what she always did when the world stopped making sense. She started straightening the pillows on the bed, fluffing them, arranging them precisely against the headboard, as if making the bed perfect would somehow undo what was happening. "Is there someone else?" she heard herself ask. Derek's hands paused again, just for a moment, just long enough. "There is," Vivian said. "There's someone else. It's not about her. Her." Vivian's hands stopped moving on the pillows. "So there is a her. Her name is Meredith, and this isn't about her. This is about us." "How long?" "Vivian." "How long, Derek? How long has this been going on?" He met her eyes. For the first time since she'd walked into the bedroom, he actually looked at her. "A while," he said. "A while meaning what? Weeks? Months? Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters. It matters because I'm carrying your child, and I deserve to know how long you've been lying to me." Derek zipped his first suitcase closed. The sound was final, decisive. 2 years, he said quietly, give or take. 2 years. The number didn't make sense. 2 years ago, they'd celebrated their 4th anniversary in Paris. 2 years ago, he'd held her hand on top of the Eiffel Tower and told her she was the love of his life. 2 years ago, he was already sleeping with someone else. "You were cheating on me when we went to Paris," Vivian said. "I told you, this isn't productive. We conceived this baby 4 months ago. You were cheating on me then too." "Vivian, please." "No." Her voice cracked. "You don't get to tell me please. You've been living a double life for 2 years, and now you're leaving while I'm pregnant and unemployed, and you're telling me please?" Derek picked up his second suitcase. "I'll have my lawyer contact you about the arrangements." "Arrangements? What arrangements?" "The divorce, the apartment, we'll figure it out." He walked past her. He didn't touch her, didn't look at her. "Derek, wait." He stopped at the bedroom door. "What about the baby?" Vivian asked. "What about our daughter? We don't know it's a girl yet." "That's your response?" "We don't know the gender. I'm asking you what happens to your child, and you're correcting my pronoun." "We'll figure it out," he said again. "I'm not abandoning the baby. I'm ending a marriage that hasn't worked in years. There's a difference." Then he walked out. Vivian stood in the bedroom they'd shared for 6 years. She listened to his footsteps on the hardwood floor. The front door opening, the front door closing. Silence. Complete and devastating silence. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She picked it up with numb fingers. A text message from Patricia Calloway, Derek's mother. "Derek told me, this is for the best. You were never right for him." Vivian read the message 3 times. She kept expecting the words to change, to rearrange themselves into something that made sense. "You were never right for him." 6 years of marriage, 6 years of holiday dinners and birthday parties and family vacations. 6 years of trying to make Patricia like her, respect her, accept her. And all along, she'd never been right for him. Vivian sank to the floor, her back pressed against the bed frame, her hand pressed against her belly. She didn't cry. The tears wouldn't come. She was too shocked for tears. "This is real," she thought. "This is actually happening to me." Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number this time. She almost didn't answer. What was the point? What could anyone possibly say that would matter right now? But something made her swipe accept. Some instinct she couldn't name. "Is this Vivian Marie Calloway, née Morrison?" The voice was formal, British. "I'm calling on behalf of Harrison Ashford. He's been looking for you for 32 years. The phone slipped from her fingers. It hit the hardwood floor with a crack that seemed to echo forever. Vivian picked up her phone with trembling hands. The screen had cracked in one corner, a spider web of fractured glass spreading across the display. "Hello?" she said. "Are you still there?" "Yes, Mrs. Calloway." "Are you all right?" I heard a sound. I dropped my phone. I'm sorry. Who did you say you were? My name is James Whitmore. I'm an attorney representing Harrison Ashford of Ashford Global Industries. Vivian pulled herself up from the floor. Her legs felt weak beneath her weight, beneath the baby's weight. I don't understand, she said. Why would someone be looking for me? Mrs. Calloway, this is a delicate matter. I'd prefer to discuss it in person if possible. However, given the circumstances, I understand you may need some explanation now. Yes, I need an explanation now. She heard papers rustling on the other end of the line. A throat clearing. Harrison Ashford is your biological father, James Whitmore said. He only recently became aware of your existence. Your mother had an affair with him 33 years ago, and you were the result of that relationship. The room tilted again. Vivian grabbed the edge of the dresser to steady herself. That's impossible, she said. My father was Robert Morrison. He raised me. He walked me down the aisle at my wedding. Robert Morrison raised you, yes, and by all accounts, he did so with great love and dedication. But biologically, Harrison Ashford is your father. He's been searching for you since he discovered this truth 3 months ago. 3 months? Why is he contacting me now? A pause, heavy and significant. Mr. Ashford is dying, Mrs. Calloway. He has perhaps 2 to 3 months to live. Pancreatic cancer. He discovered your existence through a deathbed confession from his sister, and he spent every day since trying to find you. Vivian's mind was spinning. Too much information. Too many revelations in a single evening. I can't process this right now, she said. My husband just left me. I lost my job today. I'm 7 months pregnant, and you're telling me my entire life has been built on a lie. I apologize for the timing, Mrs. Calloway. Truly, if there were any other way to handle this situation, I would pursue it. But Harrison Ashford is running out of time. He wants nothing more than to meet his daughter before he dies. I need to go. Of course. Please take my number. When you're ready to talk, I'll be available, day or night. He gave her a phone number. She didn't write it down. She ended the call and stood in the empty bedroom, staring at the closet where Derek's clothes used to hang. Then she called her mother. Linda Morrison answered on the third ring. Vivian, is everything okay? You never call this late. Mom? Vivian's voice cracked on the word. I need you to tell me the truth about something. What truth, honey? You're scaring me. Who is Harrison Ashford? Silence. The kind of silence that answers questions more definitively than words ever could. Where did you hear that name? Linda finally asked. So, you know who he is? Vivian. An attorney just called me. He said Harrison Ashford is my biological father. He said you had an affair with him 33 years ago. Her mother started crying, soft, muffled sobs that traveled through the phone line like confessions. I never wanted you to know, Linda said. Your father, Robert, the man who raised you, he knew. He knew from the beginning. He loved you anyway. He loved you more than anything. But he wasn't my father. He was your father in every way that mattered. How could you keep this from me? My entire life. How could you not tell me? Because it didn't matter, Vivian. Harrison Ashford was a summer fling. I was already engaged to Robert. I made my choice. I chose stability. I chose family. I chose love. You chose to lie to me. I chose to protect you. From what? From knowing who I really am? Linda's sobs grew louder. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. Robert and I agreed. We decided it together. We decided you would never need to know. Vivian ended the call. She couldn't listen anymore. She couldn't absorb any more revelations. In the span of 3 hours, she had lost her job, her husband, and her understanding of her own identity. She sat on the edge of the bed and waited for morning. Sleep didn't come. When the sun finally rose, her phone buzzed with a notification from their bank. Derek had withdrawn from their joint account. The balance now showed $300.42. Vivian stared at the number. They'd had almost $40,000 in that account. Savings for the baby. Emergency funds, the life they were building together, gone. All of it gone. She checked their credit cards next. The activity made her stomach turn. Hotel charges dating back a week. Before he'd packed his bags, he'd been staying somewhere else. She just hadn't noticed. Dinner at an expensive restaurant she'd never been to. $230 for what looked like a romantic evening. A jewelry store, a charge for $1,800. He'd bought someone jewelry. 2 weeks before leaving his pregnant wife, she scrolled further back in time, further into the life he'd been living without her. Business trips that suddenly looked suspicious. Late nights at the office that suddenly made sense. All of it right there in the credit card statements she'd never thought to check. A text message arrived from an unknown number. "Viv, it's Charlie. I'm coming over. Don't argue. Charlotte Webb." Her best friend since college. The one person who might actually be able to help her make sense of this nightmare. 30 minutes later, Charlie burst through the apartment door with bags of food and a face full of fury. "I could kill him," Charlie announced. "I could actually commit murder right now and feel no remorse whatsoever." "How did you find out?" "He posted on social media. Can you believe that? The absolute audacity. He posted a photo of himself and some woman with the caption, 'Starting a new chapter.'" "What?" Charlie pulled out her phone. Navigated to Derek's profile. Handed it to Vivian. There he was, smiling in a way he hadn't smiled at her in months. His arm around a woman with perfect blonde hair and a perfect white smile. Meredith. She was beautiful. Of course she was beautiful. "Starting a new chapter," Vivian read aloud. "He left me yesterday, and he's already starting a new chapter." The comments are disgusting. People are congratulating him, saying they're so happy for him. Did everyone know except me? Charlie sat down beside her, took her hand. "Honey, I have to tell you something." "What?" "I saw them. Together. 6 months ago. I was downtown for a work meeting, and I saw them coming out of a restaurant together. They were holding hands." Vivian pulled her hand away. "You knew? For 6 months you knew he was cheating on me?" "I didn't know for sure. I thought maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'd misunderstood what I saw. I didn't know how to tell you without being certain." "So you just said nothing." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Vivian. I thought I was protecting you. Everyone thought they were protecting me, my mother, you, and look where that got me." She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city that suddenly felt foreign and hostile. Her phone rang. James Whitmore's number again. She sent it to voicemail. "Who's that?" Charlie asked. "A lawyer, representing a man who claims to be my biological father." "Excuse me?" Vivian laughed. The sound was hollow and strange. "Apparently, everything I thought I knew about my life was wrong. My husband was cheating. My best friend was keeping secrets. And my father isn't actually my father." "Vivian, what are you talking about? His name is Harrison Ashford. He's a billionaire. He's dying. And he wants to meet me." Charlie stared at her. "Did you say billionaire?" The phone rang again. James Whitmore, persistent. This time Vivian answered. "Mrs. Calloway," he said. "Thank you for taking my call. I apologize for the persistence, but I need you to understand the urgency of this situation." "Mr. Whitmore, my life is falling apart. I can't deal with mysterious billionaire fathers right now. I understand, and I truly wish I could give you the space you need. But there's something else you should know. What could possibly be more important than what you've already told me? Harrison Ashford is the founder and majority shareholder of Ashford Global Industries. His estimated net worth is $11.3 billion, and as his only biological child, you are named in his will as his sole heir. The world stopped. $11 billion. The number didn't make sense. It couldn't possibly be real. I don't want his money, she heard herself say. I don't even know him. I understand, Mrs. Calloway. But Mr. Ashford wants something far more valuable than money. He wants to know his daughter before he dies. Will you at least consider meeting him? Vivian looked at Charlie, who was staring at her with wide eyes. I'll consider it, she said, but I'm not making any promises. She ended the call. Charlie was shaking her head slowly. Did he just say $11 billion? He did? Vivian? $11 billion. I heard him. Your husband left you for another woman, and 3 hours later, you found out you're the heir to $11 billion. That appears to be the situation, yes. Charlie started laughing, the kind of laughter that borders on hysteria. This is insane, she said. This is absolutely insane. Vivian looked down at her belly, at the baby growing inside her, the baby whose father had just walked out without a backward glance. Insane, she agreed. But apparently, it's my life now. 2 days passed. Vivian barely slept, barely ate. She moved through the apartment like a ghost, touching objects that reminded her of the life she'd thought she was living. The coffee maker Derek had loved, the throw blanket they'd bought on their honeymoon in Italy, the nursery they'd started setting up together, soft yellow walls, and a crib they'd assembled one Sunday afternoon. He'd been cheating on her when they painted that nursery. He'd been sleeping with Meredith when he helped her pick out the mobile of tiny stars and moons. Every memory was tainted now. Every beautiful moment had a shadow lurking behind it. On the third morning, she finally checked social media. It was worse than Charlie had described. Derek's page was filled with photos of Meredith, vacations she'd never known about, dinners at restaurants she'd never visited, moments of intimacy that should have belonged to his wife. She scrolled back through the timeline, further and further back. The affair had started when Vivian told Derek she was pregnant. She could see it clearly now, the date of her pregnancy announcement, the date of his first trip with Meredith. He'd learned he was going to be a father, and his response had been to book a hotel room with another woman. Her phone buzzed. A text from Charlie. Patricia is in the lobby. She says she needs to pick up some things. Vivian's stomach clenched. The last thing she wanted was to see her mother-in-law. The woman who had never approved of her, who had sent that cruel text the night Derek left. But she couldn't avoid Patricia forever. Send her up, Vivian texted back. 5 minutes later, Patricia Calloway swept into the apartment like she owned it, which, technically, she didn't. The lease was in Vivian's name alone, one small blessing. I'm here for Derek's things, Patricia announced. He asked me to collect a few items he forgot. Help yourself. Patricia looked around the apartment with barely concealed disdain. The place looks the same. I assumed you'd let it fall apart without Derek here to maintain standards. I've been a bit preoccupied, Patricia. Being pregnant and abandoned tends to take up one's attention. There's no need for dramatics. Derek wasn't happy. He did what he needed to do. Surely you can understand that. Vivian watched her mother-in-law move through the apartment, picking up objects, examining them, putting them down again. You knew, didn't you? Vivian asked. Patricia paused. Knew what? About Meredith. About the affair. You knew the whole time. I knew Derek had found someone who appreciated him properly. Yes. And you didn't think to tell me? Patricia turned to face her. Her expression was cold and smooth, like marble. I'm not here to be cruel, Vivian. I'm here to help you see reality. Derek needs someone who can keep up with his ambitions, someone who understands our world. You are always adequate, but adequate isn't enough. The words landed like blows, each one calculated for maximum damage. Meredith comes from a good family, Patricia continued. Old money, proper connections. She understands what it takes to support a man like Derek. And I don't? You were a marketing manager from a middle-class family in Ohio. You were never going to fit into Derek's future. He simply realized it later than he should have. Vivian's hands trembled. She pressed them flat against her belly to steady them. The stress of an unplanned pregnancy can break even strong marriages, Patricia added. Perhaps if you'd waited, given Derek time to establish himself further, things might have been different. Unplanned? Vivian's voice rose. We tried for 2 years to get pregnant. This baby was planned, wanted, celebrated. By you, perhaps. The implication hung in the air. Derek hadn't wanted the baby. He'd never wanted the baby. Get out, Vivian said quietly. Excuse me? Get out of my apartment. Take whatever you came to take and leave. Patricia's eyes narrowed. You should watch your tone. Once the divorce is finalized, you'll be left with nothing. Derek's lawyers will make sure of that. I said, get out. Something in Vivian's voice must have convinced her. Patricia gathered her designer bag and walked toward the door. You should have known you weren't right for this world, she said before leaving. Some women are built for greatness. Others are built to serve. You were never going to be anything more than adequate. The door closed behind her. Vivian stood in the silence of her apartment, the words echoing in her mind. Adequate. Her entire marriage, she'd thought she was building a life, a partnership, a family. But to Derek, to his mother, she'd only ever been adequate, a placeholder until someone better came along. Her phone rang. The bank. Mrs. Calloway, this is First National regarding your joint account with Derek Calloway. Yes? I'm calling to inform you that Mr. Calloway has filed a request to freeze all joint assets pending your divorce proceedings. As of today, you will not be able to access the remaining funds in the account. $300. He'd left her with $300 and now he wanted to freeze even that. I understand, Vivian said. Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. She ended the call and walked to the kitchen. Charlie found her there, an hour later, reorganizing the spice cabinet. Vivian, the cinnamon doesn't need to be alphabetized. Yes, it does. Her voice broke. Everything else is chaos. The cinnamon can be in order. Charlie gently pulled her away from the cabinet, led her to the couch, sat down beside her. Tell me about the billionaire, Charlie said. Tell me everything. So Vivian did. The phone call, the revelation about her mother's affair, the inheritance, the dying man who desperately wanted to meet the daughter he'd never known. And you're not going to see him? Charlie asked. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. Vivian, listen to me. Your husband just cleaned out your bank account. Your job is gone. You're going to have a baby in 2 months, and there's a man out there who wants to give you everything. I don't want his guilt money. Then don't take his money, but at least meet him. At least hear what he has to say. Vivian looked down at her hands, at the wedding ring she was still wearing. She'd forgotten to take it off. I wanted a father, she said quietly. My whole life I felt like something was missing, like I didn't quite fit anywhere. And now I find out there's this man, this stranger with my DNA. But he's 32 years too late. Maybe. Or maybe he's right on time. Vivian's phone buzzed. James Whitmore again. She'd lost count of how many times he'd called. This time, the message was a text. Mr. Ashford has been hospitalized. He's asking for you. Please. He doesn't have much time. Vivian read the message twice, 3 times. A man she'd never met was dying in a hospital room, calling out for a daughter he'd only just discovered. I'll go, she heard herself say. I'll go see him. The private car arrived the next morning, sleek and black and entirely out of place on her modest Brooklyn street. The driver introduced himself as Marcus. He helped Vivian into the back seat with careful attention to her pregnant belly. "It's about 2 hours to the estate," he said. "Mr. Whitmore will meet you there." 2 hours. 2 hours to prepare herself for a meeting that would change everything. The city fell away as they drove north. Skyscrapers gave way to suburbs, gave way to forests, painted in autumn gold. Through the tinted windows, Vivian watched the world transform. She thought about the life she'd been living a week ago. The job she'd thought was secure. The marriage she'd believed was strong. The father she'd assumed was her own. All of it gone now, replaced by uncertainty and fear, and the strange, impossible possibility of billions of dollars. The car turned onto a private road. Trees lined the path like sentries. At the end, gates swung open to reveal Ashford Manor. It was overwhelming. Stone and glass and centuries of history. Gardens stretched toward the horizon. Fountains caught the sunlight. Everything spoke of wealth beyond imagination. The house smelled of furniture polish and something else, something medicinal, underneath the flowers. Her heels clicked against marble floors that had seen a century of footsteps. Through tall windows, manicured gardens stretched toward the horizon, autumn leaves burning gold and red. A woman waited in the entrance hall, tall and elegant, with silver hair swept back from a face that might have been beautiful once. "You look like him," the woman said. "That's unfortunate." "I'm sorry?" "I'm Eleanor Ashford, Harrison's wife." Or widow, depending on the next few days. She extended a hand. "Welcome to our home." Vivian shook her hand. The grip was firm and brief. "Thomas is here," Eleanor added. "My son from my first marriage. He's not pleased about your arrival." "I gathered that." "He's been waiting 38 years to inherit this estate. He doesn't appreciate the competition." A man appeared in a doorway. He was handsome in a generic way. Expensive haircut, expensive suit, expensive watch. Everything about him screamed entitlement. "So, you're the long-lost daughter," Thomas said. "How convenient that you've arrived just in time to collect your share." "Thomas?" Eleanor warned. "What? We're all thinking it. Some stranger shows up claiming to be father's biological child, and we're supposed to welcome her with open arms?" "I'm not here for the money," Vivian said. "Of course you're not. You're here because you care so deeply about a man you've never met." "I'm here because a dying man asked to see me. If you have a problem with that, take it up with him." Thomas's eyes narrowed. He opened his mouth to respond, but James Whitmore appeared at his elbow. "Mrs. Calloway, thank you for coming. Mr. Ashford is awake and eager to meet you." Vivian followed the attorney through corridors lined with artwork, past rooms filled with antiques, up a sweeping staircase to a private suite on the second floor. Harrison Ashford lay in a hospital bed that looked entirely out of place among the four-poster furniture and silk curtains. Machines beeped beside him. Tubes connected him to bags of fluid and medication, but his eyes were sharp, clear and focused, and filled with something that looked like hope. "Leave us," he said to the nurse standing by the window. "I want to speak with my daughter alone." The nurse hesitated, then nodded and slipped out. Vivian stood at the foot of the bed, uncertain what to do, what to say. "You have your mother's chin," Harrison said, "but the rest is mine. The eyes, the forehead, even the way you're standing right now, feet apart, arms crossed, defensive." "I'm not defensive. You're terrified, which is understandable given the circumstances." He gestured to a chair beside the bed. "Sit, please. I've waited 32 years for this conversation. I'd rather not have it, with you hovering by the door." Vivian sat. The chair was surprisingly comfortable. I knew your mother for one summer, Harrison began. 1991. I was 23 years old and entirely too arrogant for my own good. She was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. She was engaged to someone else. She was. To Robert. A good man, steady, reliable. Everything I wasn't. Harrison coughed. The sound was wet and worrying. Linda chose him. I understood why. I had nothing to offer her except dreams and a family name that didn't mean anything outside of Connecticut. But you had an affair anyway? We had a summer. One summer of stolen moments and foolish promises. Then it ended. She went back to Robert. I went back to building my company. Life moved on. Did you know about me? No. The word was heavy with regret. Linda never told me. She wrote to my sister, asking for money, for an abortion. Millicent sent the money, but told no one. She carried that secret for 33 years. What changed? She died 3 months ago. Cancer, like me, seems to be a family tradition. He attempted a smile. On her deathbed, she told me everything. About Linda's letter, about the baby that should never have been born, about the daughter I never knew I had. Vivian's eyes burned. She blinked rapidly, refusing to let the tears fall. I've built an empire, Harrison continued. Employed 40,000 people across 30 countries, but I've never done anything that mattered. Not really. I married for connections. I raised a stepson I never loved. I collected companies the way other men collect art. And now I'm dying, and the only thing I want is to know my daughter. His hand, thin and spotted with age, reached for hers. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he said. I'm asking for a chance. Vivian stared at his hand, at the fingers that shared her DNA, at the man who had been missing from her entire life. A chance, he wants a chance. Where was my chance at a father? Where was his chance when I was 5 and scared of the dark? When I was 12 and got my first period? When I was 25 and walking down the aisle with the man who loved me enough to stay? You don't get to swoop in at the end and play hero, she said. That's not how this works. Harrison's eyes filled with tears. I know it isn't, but I'm trying anyway. That's all any of us can do. A commotion erupted in the hallway. Thomas's voice, raised and angry. She's a stranger, a gold digger. You can't just rewrite 30 years of family history because some woman shows up claiming to be... The door burst open. Thomas Ashford stood there, face red with fury. Get out of my father's house! Harrison summoned strength from somewhere. He pushed himself up in the bed, machines beeping their protest. Thomas, he said. His voice was thin but firm. Leave this room immediately. Father, you can't be serious. This woman appears out of nowhere, and you're ready to hand her everything? What about loyalty? What about family? Family. Harrison's laugh turned into a cough. You've been counting the days until my death since you were 20 years old. Don't speak to me about family. Thomas's face contorted. I've been here. Every day for 30 years I've been here, building this company, protecting your legacy, and she gets to walk in and take it all. She's my daughter, my blood. Something you have never been and will never be. The words hung in the air, brutal and final. Thomas looked at Vivian with pure hatred. This isn't over, he said. Then he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Harrison sank back against his pillows. The confrontation had drained him. You should rest, Vivian said. I've been resting for 68 years. Look where it got me. He closed his eyes. James will show you to a room. Stay tonight. We'll talk more tomorrow. I can't stay. I have things to deal with, back in the city. The husband who left you? Vivian's surprise must have shown on her face. I'm dying. Not ignorant, Harrison said. I know everything about you, Vivian. Your job loss, your husband's affair, the $300 in your bank account. He opened his eyes. Let me help you. It's the least I can do. I don't want your money. Then don't take my money. Take the help of a father who's trying, however poorly, to make up for 32 years of absence. She left without responding. James Whitmore was waiting in the hallway. I'll have Marcus drive you home, he said. But please consider Mr. Ashford's offer. He's hired the best family law attorney in New York to assist with your divorce. Catherine Reyes. Her contact information is in this envelope. He handed her a cream-colored envelope, heavy with the weight of expensive paper. Why? Vivian asked. Why is he doing all this? Because Harrison Ashford has spent his entire life acquiring things. Companies, properties, art, but he's never had something that actually mattered to him. James paused. Until now. Back in Brooklyn, Vivian opened the envelope. A business card fell out. Catherine Reyes. Family law. Offices in Manhattan. A handwritten note on the back. Mr. Ashford has retained me on your behalf. Call anytime. She didn't want to call. She didn't want to accept help from a stranger, even a stranger who shared her blood. But the next day, divorce papers arrived. Derek was claiming that Vivian had abandoned the marriage by refusing counseling. He wanted the apartment, the car, a full 50% split of assets he'd already emptied from their joint accounts. He wasn't requesting custody of the baby. He hadn't mentioned the baby at all. Vivian read the papers at her kitchen table, Derek's signature at the bottom, neat and final. 6 years of marriage reduced to 17 pages. She turned to page 8, asset division. He'd listed everything. The furniture they'd picked out together, the art from their honeymoon, the expensive coffee maker she'd bought him for their anniversary. He hadn't listed the baby. Paragraph 17. No children of the marriage. She read it 3 times. No children of the marriage. Their baby kicked. Hard. Vivian picked up her phone and called Catherine Reyes. The attorney answered on the second ring. Mrs. Calloway, I was hoping you'd call. I received divorce papers. They're claiming I abandoned the marriage? I saw them. Your husband's attorney sent me a courtesy copy. It's a baseless claim. He's the one who left. There are witnesses, credit card records, a paper trail a mile long. He wants half of everything. He won't get it. Not when I'm finished. Mr. Ashford has given me full authority to protect your interests and the interests of your unborn child. Vivian hesitated. I don't know if I should accept Harrison's help. It feels like being bought. With respect, Mrs. Calloway, you're not being bought. You're being protected. That baby is an Ashford, whether you accept the name or not. Harrison wants to ensure his grandchild has a future. His grandchild. The baby she was carrying. Harrison's grandchild. All right, Vivian said. Tell me what you need from me. The next few weeks were a blur of legal documents and strategy sessions. Catherine was ruthless and brilliant. She uncovered things Vivian had never known about her own marriage. Derek was $200,000 in debt. Gambling, mostly. Some bad investments. Credit cards in both their names that Vivian had never signed. He was planning to leave you holding the debt, Catherine explained. The timing of his departure, right after you lost your income, wasn't coincidence. He knew you'd be too overwhelmed to investigate. But Catherine had found something else. Something that changed everything. Your husband has been in contact with Ashford Global's legal team, she said. For the past 3 months, he knew about Harrison before you did. The room felt suddenly cold. What do you mean? I mean Derek Calloway knew about your biological father and the inheritance 3 months before Harrison's attorney contacted you. He was working with Thomas Ashford to keep you away from Harrison. The truth unfolded like a nightmare she couldn't wake from. Thomas Ashford had discovered Harrison's search for his biological daughter. Terrified of losing his inheritance, he'd hired a private investigator to find Vivian first. The PI discovered she was married to Derek Calloway, a man with gambling debts and a taste for expensive things. Thomas approached Derek with a proposition. Keep Vivian away from Harrison, and he'd be rewarded, financially, generously. Derek had agreed. He waited for the right moment to leave, when Vivian was at her most vulnerable, when she'd lost her job, when she was too pregnant and too exhausted to investigate mysterious phone calls from British attorneys. He never loved me, Vivian said. She was sitting in Catherine's office, when the skyline of Manhattan spread out behind her. This whole time, I thought he fell out of love, but he never loved me at all. I'm sorry, Catherine said. I know this is painful. I was a pawn, an obstacle between Thomas and his inheritance. Derek waited until I was at my weakest, and then he left, because Thomas told him to. Which is exactly why we're going to destroy them both in court. But Vivian didn't want destruction. She wanted answers. She texted Derek, asked him to meet her, a coffee shop in Midtown, public, neutral. He arrived looking smug, as if this were a victory lap. Vivian? He kissed her cheek like they were old friends. You look well. Pregnancy suits you. Sit down, Derek. He sat across from her, ordered an espresso, checked his phone twice before the barista had finished making it. I know everything, Vivian said. Everything about what? Thomas Ashford, the money he paid you, the scheme to keep me away from Harrison. Derek's face changed. The smugness flickered. For just a moment, she saw fear. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't you dare lie to me again. Her voice was steady, controlled. I have emails, bank records, a paper trail that connects you to Thomas Ashford going back 3 months. You're paranoid. The pregnancy hormones are clearly affecting your judgment. Don't you dare blame this on the baby you pretended doesn't exist. Derek picked up his espresso, set it down without drinking, picked it up again. What do you want, Vivian? I want the truth. For once in 6 years, I want the truth. Silence stretched between them. The coffee shop bustled around them, oblivious to the implosion happening at table 7. Thomas approached me, Derek finally said. 6 months ago, he offered me money, a lot of money, to end our marriage before you could find out about Harrison. Why would you agree to that? Because I was drowning, Vivian. The debts, the pressure, you don't know what it's like to carry that weight. So you sold me. You sold your wife and your unborn child to a man you'd never met. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, Derek. Help me understand how you could do this. He looked away, couldn't meet her eyes. Thomas promised to clear my debts, set me up with a job at one of his companies. All I had to do was leave, walk away, before you could ever meet Harrison. And Meredith? She was part of the plan. Thomas suggested I find someone else, make the breakup look natural. Meredith was convenient. Convenient. Vivian felt something shift inside her, the last remnants of grief burning away, replaced by something cleaner. Anger. You let me think I wasn't enough, that I'd failed as a wife. You let me believe the breakdown of our marriage was my fault. I never said that. You didn't have to. Your silence said it for you. Derek leaned forward. His expression changed again, calculating now. Look, Vivian, we can work this out. I made a mistake. I admit that. But think about what we could do together. You have access to billions of dollars now. We could be partners in this. Partners? The divorce isn't finalized yet. We could call it off, start over. Think about the baby. You wrote, "No children of the marriage" on our divorce papers. You don't get to use our child now. Derek's jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. Thomas will destroy you in court. You need someone on your side who knows how this world works. Vivian stood up. Her legs felt solid beneath her. Her voice felt strong in her throat. I had someone on my side, she said. He died holding my hand. Turns out I never needed you at all. She walked out of the coffee shop without looking back. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. But her voice had been steady. For the first time in weeks, her voice had been completely steady. She sat in her car for 20 minutes, not crying, just breathing. When she finally drove away, she took the long way home, past their old apartment, past the restaurant where he proposed, past all the landmarks of a life that had never been real. She didn't stop. She didn't slow down. That night she sat on Charlie's couch, eating ice cream directly from the container. I think I'm supposed to feel vindicated, she said. Do you? No, I just feel tired. Charlie took the spoon. Tired is okay. Tired means you've been fighting. You can rest now. I don't know how to rest anymore. Then just sit here. Watch bad TV. I won't let you think. They watched 3 episodes of a dating show. Neither of them spoke. Sometimes friendship wasn't about words. It was about presence. Her phone rang. Eleanor Ashford's name on the screen. Vivian? Eleanor's voice was strained. Harrison has collapsed. The doctors say you should come. Tonight he's asking for you. The drive to Connecticut felt endless. Every red light, every slow driver, every mile of highway stretched like taffy. Marcus drove in silence. He understood. When they arrived at Ashford Manor, James Whitmore met her at the door. He's conscious, James said, but fading. The doctors give him hours, maybe a day. Vivian's hand pressed against her belly. The baby was restless tonight, kicking and turning. Take me to him. Harrison looked smaller than before. The machines beeped faster now. Nurses hovered in the corners, adjusting medications, checking readings, but his eyes found her the moment she walked in. You came, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. You asked for me. I wasn't sure you would. After everything. After all my failures. Vivian sat beside him, took his hand. It felt like paper in her grip. Tell me about my grandmother, she said. Your mother. What was she like? Harrison's eyes softened. She loved roses. Had an entire garden full of them. Red ones, yellow ones, pink ones that smelled like heaven. He coughed. She would have loved you. She always wanted a granddaughter. Tell me about the business. How did you start it? With a loan from my father, $20,000. I turned it into $20 million within 5 years. Another cough. But the money never mattered. Not really. What mattered was building something, creating something that would outlast me. And now I have a daughter, a granddaughter on the way. Tears leaked from the corners of his eyes. Now I have everything I ever wanted, and no time left to enjoy it. Vivian squeezed his hand. Tell me what you need. What can I do? Forgive me. That's all I want. Just forgive me for not being there. She thought about her life, about the years of feeling incomplete, the sense that something was missing that she could never identify. I spent my whole life feeling like something was missing, she whispered. Like I didn't quite fit anywhere. Harrison's hand found hers. I know, I felt it too, the missing piece. Does finding it now make up for losing it then? No. His voice was fading. But it makes what time we have left matter. A nurse approached. Mrs. Calloway, Mr. Ashford needs to rest. Perhaps you could come back in the morning. No. Harrison's grip tightened. Stay, please. I've waited 32 years. I can't waste another minute. So she stayed. Through the long hours of the night, she stayed. He told her stories about his childhood, about her mother's smile, about the summer that had created her, and the decades of wondering that followed. She told him about her life, her career, her failed marriage, the baby she was carrying. A girl, she said. I found out last week. I haven't told anyone else. Harrison wept, tears streaming down his weathered face. A granddaughter, he whispered. A granddaughter I'll never meet. Near dawn, he asked for the box. A cedar box, worn smooth by hands that had touched it thousands of times. Inside, envelopes stacked neatly, birthday cards for a child he'd never met, holiday letters describing seasons she'd never share with him. The first letter, dated 32 years ago. My dearest daughter, today you were born. I don't know your name, I don't know your face, but I know you exist somewhere in this world, and that is enough to make me believe in miracles. Vivian read 3 letters before she couldn't see through her tears. You wrote to me, she said, every year. You wrote to me even though you didn't know who I was. I had to believe you existed. I had to believe I wasn't alone. The machines began to alarm. Nurses rushed in. Dr. Santos arrived. There was movement and shouting, and the controlled chaos of a life slipping away, but Harrison's eyes stayed fixed on Vivian. Name her something beautiful, he whispered. Something that means hope. His hand went limp in hers. The machines fell silent. Harrison Ashford was gone. The reading of the will took place 3 days later. Vivian sat in a conference room surrounded by lawyers. Eleanor was beside her. Thomas across the table, fury barely contained behind his careful mask. James Whitmore read the documents aloud. To my wife, Eleanor Ashford, I leave the Connecticut estate, all associated properties, and a trust fund of $50 million to be administered according to the terms outlined in Appendix A. Eleanor nodded. Her expression revealed nothing. To my stepson, Thomas Ashford, I leave a trust fund of $25 million to be administered according to the terms outlined in Appendix B. Thomas's face reddened. 25 million? After everything I've done for this company? Mr. Ashford, please allow me to continue. Thomas fell silent, but his knuckles were white where they gripped the table. To my daughter, Vivian Marie Calloway, née Morrison, I leave the remainder of my estate, including my majority shareholding in Ashford Global Industries, all associated business interests, and the sum total of my personal holdings, estimated at the time of this document's creation to be $11.3 billion. The number hung in the air. Massive. Impossible. This is absurd, Thomas said. She's known him for 2 weeks. I've been his son for 30 years. Stepson, James corrected. And Mr. Ashford's wishes were clear. Miss Calloway is his sole biological heir. I'll contest this. Every court in the country will see this for what it is. Undue influence on a dying man. That is your right, Mr. Ashford. Though I should warn you, we have extensive documentation of Mr. Ashford's mental competency and his reasons for this distribution. Thomas stood, his chair scraped against the floor. You haven't heard the last of this. He pointed at Vivian. You think you can waltz in here and steal everything? You have no idea what you're up against. He stormed out. The door slammed behind him. Eleanor sighed. He's always had a flair for the dramatic. True to his word, Thomas filed suit within a week. The papers claimed undue influence, a dying man manipulated by a stranger, a gold digger who appeared at the perfect moment to claim an inheritance she didn't deserve. The media caught wind of the story. Headlines screamed from every tabloid. Pregnant gold digger inherits billions. Mystery woman claims Ashford fortune. Dying billionaire? Duped by long-lost daughter. Vivian stood in the pharmacy, buying prenatal vitamins with cash, because her credit cards were frozen pending litigation. A woman behind her whispered to her companion, "That's her. Can you believe it? Some women will do anything for money. She wanted to turn around, to explain, to defend herself. Instead, she bought her vitamins, walked to her car, drove home. Some battles weren't worth fighting, not yet. Derek resurfaced. Of course, suddenly interested in reconciliation. We never actually finalized the divorce, he said. He'd shown up at her apartment unannounced, standing in the doorway like he still belonged there. We could try again, be a family, get out. Just hear me out. I made mistakes. I admit that. But think about what we could do together. The resources you have access to now. We could build something incredible. You sold me to Thomas Ashford. You planned to walk away with his money while I raised our child alone. And now you want to be a family? People change, Vivian. Get out of my apartment, Derek, before I call the police. He left, but not before muttering threats about the divorce settlement, about what he was entitled to. Catherine Reyes dismantled him in court. She presented evidence of his affair, his debts, his coordination with Thomas, his attempt to abandon his pregnant wife with $200,000 of debt in her name. Derek's lawyer advised him to settle quietly. The alternative was public humiliation. The final divorce terms were simple. Vivian got nothing from Derek. She didn't want anything from Derek. And Derek got nothing from her. He signed the papers in a conference room. One final attempt at manipulation. Vivian, we could have been partners in this. You didn't have to make it ugly. You made it ugly the day you packed your bags. I'm just refusing to pretend otherwise. She walked out, free. 6 months ago, I would have considered it. 6 months ago, I was so desperate to not be alone that I ignored every red flag waving in my face. But I'm not alone now. I have Charlie. I have Eleanor. Surprisingly, I have Catherine. And I have her, my daughter, kicking right now as if to remind me, we're going to be okay. Even if I lose the lawsuit. Even if Thomas takes everything. We're going to be okay. The courtroom battle was set for 6 weeks later, 2 weeks after her due date. But the baby had other plans. Her water broke in the middle of reviewing legal documents. Charlie? She called out. Her voice was remarkably calm. I think we need to go to the hospital now. The labor lasted 12 hours. Charlie stayed the whole time, holding her hand through contractions, coaching her through the breathing exercises, making terrible jokes that somehow helped. You're doing amazing, Charlie said. Seriously. You're a warrior. I don't feel like a warrior. I feel like I'm being torn apart. Same thing, honestly. Eleanor arrived at hour 8. Her presence was unexpected, but somehow comforting. I came as soon as I heard, she said. Harrison would have wanted to be here. Why are you here, Eleanor? I thought you resented me. I resented the idea of you, the threat to my security. But Harrison died peacefully because of you. He died with hope. That's worth more than any inheritance. At 3:37 in the morning, Hope Alexandra Ashford was born. The first cry was small, then stronger, then furious. 7 pounds, 2 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes, a shock of dark hair. The nurse placed her on Vivian's chest. Warm, impossibly warm, with a heartbeat that seemed too fast and too fierce for something so small. Hi, Vivian whispered. I've been waiting my whole life to meet you. Hope's eyes blinked open, dark and unfocused, looking for something she couldn't yet name. Your grandfather wanted me to name you something that means hope, Vivian said. I think he'd be happy. The baby's hand curled around her finger, tiny, perfect. It's just us now, Vivian said, but we're going to be okay. I promise. Visitors came over the next few days. Bennett Cross, the CEO of Ashford Global, arrived with flowers and a surprisingly warm smile. Mr. Ashford spoke of you often in his final weeks, Bennett said. He believed you'd be extraordinary. I'm not sure I know how to run a billion-dollar company. No one does. We figure it out as we go. That's the secret no one tells you. He informed her that the board wanted to settle with Thomas. They believed in her leadership. They wanted to move forward. Diana Mercer arrived next, a corporate executive who'd been Thomas's ally, or so Vivian had thought. Women in this industry need to support each other, Diana said. You have my vote on the board. Why? You barely know me. I know what Thomas is. I know what he's done to other women who threatened his position. You're different. You didn't come here for power. That makes you dangerous to men like him. Thomas himself appeared on the third day, not to fight, not to threaten, to surrender. He stood in the doorway of her hospital room, looking smaller than before, defeated. I'm dropping the lawsuit, he said. Why? Eleanor showed me the evidence your attorney compiled, the emails between Derek and me, the financial records. If this goes to court, everything becomes public record. And you'd rather protect your reputation than fight for what you think you deserve? I'd rather survive. Father left me $25 million. It's not what I expected, but it's enough. It's what Harrison wanted. I know. Thomas looked at the bassinet, where Hope slept. She looks like him, around the eyes. She has his stubbornness too. Took her sweet time arriving. A ghost of a smile crossed Thomas's face. Then it was gone. I won't apologize for what I did, he said. I was protecting my interests. Anyone in my position would have done the same. No, they wouldn't have, but I understand why you did. You're not going to destroy me? Vivian looked at her daughter, at the tiny chest rising and falling, at the future stretching out before them. You'll have what the original will provided. Your mother's portion passes to you eventually. That's more than you deserve, but it's what Harrison wanted. Thomas didn't know how to respond to kindness. That, perhaps, was the greatest revenge of all. He left without another word. The nurse came in with paperwork, birth certificate. Father's name? She asked. Vivian thought about Derek, about his signature on divorce papers that erased their child's existence. Leave it blank, she said. The nurse nodded. No judgment. It happens more than you'd think. Later, alone with Hope, Vivian whispered, You don't need his name. You have mine, and you have your grandfather's. That's more than enough. 6 months later, Vivian stood in the boardroom of Ashford Global Industries. 40 executives, 20 board members, hundreds of millions of dollars in decisions waiting to be made. And in the corner, a discreet bassinet where Hope Alexandra Ford slept through her first board meeting. The quarterly projections look strong, Bennett said. Revenue is up 8%. Market share is holding steady. Vivian nodded. 6 months ago, she couldn't have understood a single word of this presentation. Now she asked pointed questions, challenged assumptions, pushed for better. What about the sustainability initiatives? She asked. Harrison always wanted to expand our environmental programs. We've allocated additional funding, as you requested. The team is working on implementation now. The meeting concluded. Board members filed out. Several stopped to congratulate her on Hope's milestone. 6 months old today. Diana lingered by the door. You're good at this, you know. Better than anyone expected. Including me. Especially you, Diana smiled. Harrison would be proud. Alone in the boardroom, Vivian picked up Hope from the bassinet. The baby gurgled happily, grabbing at her mother's necklace. 6 months ago, Vivian said to her daughter, I was crying on the floor of an empty apartment. Now I'm running a global company. Funny how things work out. Hope responded by trying to eat the quarterly report. That evening, Vivian attended a charity gala, the kind of event she'd only read about in magazines. Champagne and diamonds and conversations worth millions. She wore a black dress. Simple, elegant. She'd picked it out herself. No designer, no stylist. Charlie was her +1. I can't believe this is your life now, Charlie said. 6 months ago, we were eating ice cream on my couch. We can still eat ice cream on your couch. Yeah, but now your ice cream probably costs $50 a pint. It tastes the same. Vivian spotted Derek across the ballroom. He was with Meredith. They weren't holding hands. He looked older than she remembered. The lines around his eyes deeper, his hair thinner. Meredith looked uncomfortable, her smile too tight, her laugh too loud. Derek saw Vivian watching. He said something to Meredith, then walked over. Vivian. He attempted a charming smile. It didn't reach his eyes. You look different. I am different. I see that. He glanced around the ballroom, at the wealthy, powerful people who now treated Vivian as an equal. Quite the transformation. How's Meredith? Fine. She's fine. He shoved his hands in his pockets. Look, I know things ended badly between us, but I've been thinking. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime, talk about the future. What future? Hope's future. I am her father, after all. Vivian studied him. This man she'd loved for 6 years. This man who'd lied to her, used her, abandoned her. She felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just the bone-deep certainty that losing him was the best thing that had ever happened to her. I hope you find happiness, Derek, she said, and meant it. He looked like she had slapped him. That was somehow the most satisfying moment of all. She walked away without looking back. Charlie was waiting by the bar. What did he want? Relevance. He wanted to feel relevant. And? He's not. They left the gala early. Neither of them were party people, really. The dresses and the diamonds felt like costumes. Back at Vivian's new home, a modest townhouse by Ashford standards, they sat on the porch and watched the stars emerge. Hope slept in her mother's arms. Charlie had brought wine, sparkling cider for Vivian, still nursing. You know what the funny thing is, Charlie said. 7 months ago, you were afraid of being alone. Vivian watched her daughter's chest rise and fall, watched the sky turn from pink to purple to black. I was never alone, she said. I just didn't know who was waiting for me to find them. She thought about Harrison, about his letters, about the 32 years he spent writing to a daughter he'd never met. She thought about Hope, about the lifetime of letters she'd write, the lifetime of moments she'd cherish. She thought about herself, the woman who'd stood in an empty apartment, arranging pillows while her world collapsed, the woman who'd organized spice cabinets at 2 in the morning because the cinnamon could be in order even if nothing else could. That woman was still there, somewhere, but she'd grown, changed, transformed. She had started this year as a woman abandoned. She ended it as a woman found, not by a man, not by money, by herself. And that, she realized, was the only inheritance that truly mattered. The sun dipped below the horizon. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell chimed. Hope stirred, yawned, and settled back into dreams. Vivian held her closer. I named you Hope for a reason, she whispered. Because that's what you gave me. Hope when I had nothing else. Hope when everything was falling apart. Charlie wiped her eyes. You're making me cry. Stop it. You started it. I regret nothing. They sat in comfortable silence, two friends who'd weathered storms together. A mother and daughter just beginning their journey. The stars emerged one by one, ancient light reaching across unimaginable distances. Harrison had loved the stars. He'd written about them in his letters, how he used to wonder if his daughter was looking at the same sky, the same constellations, the same infinite possibility. I'm looking now, Vivian said to the darkness. I see them. Whether she was talking to Harrison or to herself, she couldn't say. Maybe it didn't matter. Hope made a small sound, a contented sigh. Vivian kissed her daughter's forehead. We're going to be okay, she promised. Better than okay. were going to be extraordinary. And somehow, in that moment, she believed it. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment below and tell me which moment hit you the hardest. Was it when Derek said no children of the marriage on the divorce papers? Was it when Vivian discovered the conspiracy? Or was it when she finally faced him and felt nothing at all? Share this video with someone who needs to hear that their storm will not last forever. And if you want more stories like this, stories of women who rise from the ashes and reclaim their power, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything. It helps us create more content that inspires, heals, and reminds you that you are stronger than you know. Closing statement. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories and valuable life lessons. Every word was crafted with intention to inspire, empower, and remind you that your darkest chapter can become your greatest comeback. Thank you for watching until the end. We will see you in the next story.